Hello, I'm Kate Davis, and this is Humor in the C-Suite, a show about how leaders use humor to create an extraordinary work culture. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Humor in the C-Suite. My guest this week is Bruce Mayhew. Bruce has a passion for helping his clients achieve professional development goals. As a corporate trainer and keynote speaker, Bruce helps clients communicate clearly and express their values in a way that sets them apart in the minds of their customers and coworkers by delivering customized and interactive training solutions. Bruce has over 20 years' experience helping people and organizations succeed. At the beginning of this career, Bruce spent over 11 years with Scotiabank, designing and developing corporate marketing strategies, working on merger integration teams, and training the national sales team. In his upcoming book to be released this week, The Path of an Inspired Leader, Bruce distills years of expertise into a transformative guide, offering readers insight and the framework to lead with authenticity, courage, and impact. Whether you're a seasoned leader or stepping into it for the first time, Bruce's book promised to be a catalyst for growth and innovation. I was thrilled to have him on the podcast. We had a great conversation, how he leads and led with humor for all those years, and all about his new book that's coming out this week. I am thrilled. So please welcome Bruce Mayhew. Hey, Bruce, welcome to Humor in the C-Suite.
Hey, it's so great to be here. I can't tell you how thrilled I am.
I'm thrilled. Oh my gosh. I was reading through your bio and you've done a lot of stuff. I thought we would just start off by telling everyone your story, a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into all the questions.
Sure. And it depends how far back you want to go, but let's just start.
Away in a manger. No.
Exactly. Let's just start at the beginning of my career. At a university, all I ever wanted to do was work for a big bank. And that's what is going to be my full career was going to be working for a big bank. I was fortunate enough out of university to start working for Scotiabank. Had a whole bunch of years that I just loved what I did there. I launched debit for Scotiabank. I did a bunch of really great projects with Scotia that were really leading edge and new and exciting. And I met a lot of fantastic people. And then it got to the point where I realized that banking wasn't going to be my future anymore. And when I realized that, it took me 2 years to leave, and which is really remarkable in today's world to take 2 years to redefine your future.
Yeah.
But I did. And long story short, I started Bruce Mayhew Consulting and started doing some training around helping people be better people. And I've been doing that for now 20 some odd years, and I love it.
Wow. That's amazing. And I love the fact that, you really embraced wanting to work at a bank, which is just such a weird thing for a kid to want.
Exactly. Like, it's not that I'm good at finance, because I'm not, right? Because I was on the corporate side.
Yeah, you were on the marketing, right?
Yeah. And I remember when I first started working at Scotia, people would say to me, like when they first met me, they would say, "Hey, you'd be great in a branch. You're so good with people. You'd be great in a branch." And then about 2 weeks later, after they got to know me, they were like, "Don't you ever go work at a branch." Like, you'd be awful, because everything shows on my face, right? So they're like, "Yeah, you have a really bad poker face."
I love that. I love that. So you learned a lot during your corporate life.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can go back to that for a second, did
Sure.
you incorporate like humor into your leadership style when you were leading your teams, launching debit and stuff like that?
Yeah, it was like I was really young compared to now. Like, I was really young then, so I was still trying to find who
Yeah,
Bruce was as a business
right.
person, as a professional. So I would say that I
Yeah.
was a little bit more reserved than I am now. I certainly am reserved, sort of natural. I'm an introvert, but I do extroverted things. And so I was always sort of a little bit in my head about things. But what I realized is that almost organically, I would have fun in the world that I was part of, right? Like, the friends that I made, we would have fun but it all happened
Yeah.
organically more than intentionally. So yeah, it was.
That's great. I love that because then, even then, back then, you were bringing yourself to work.
Yeah, and it was a tough time. Like I'm gay. 30 years ago, being gay in the
Yeah.
banking industry was not a thing that you wanted to do. So part of me
Yeah.
was sort of compartmentalized, but the other part, I still tried to be
Right.
me, right? And I tried to be who I
Yeah.
was. I tried to be authentic. I find authenticity is really important. So I still tried to be who I was, right? So.
Yeah. So now in your coaching, because you do a lot of executive coaching and stuff like that, are you teaching leaders how to trust themselves and bring that part of themselves to the job?
Yeah, it certainly is part of what I do. I would say I do a lot more training and facilitating over the coaching
Right.
part, right?
Okay.
Uh, but even in my training part, I really look at building trust and transparency in the work that they do. As an example, one of my most popular workshops is difficult conversations training, and you really have to be authentic. People have to trust you if you're going to have a difficult conversation with them and
Yeah.
for it to be successful. So I really help people understand what it takes to build trust and to keep
Right.
trust, right?
Okay. But when you say like a difficult situation, can you like give us an example or conversation? Like, what would that be? Like, you're
It could.
fired?
Yeah, yeah. Usually, you're fired is way past difficult conversation.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I like to think difficult conversations are the things that you should be doing like every day or every week kind of thing. So it's providing people with constructive feedback. It's
Right.
right, because what I've seen over so many times in a workplace environment where if you're not giving somebody constructive feedback and helping them
Yeah.
grow and change, then they're going to keep doing this thing that's not 100% productive or not
Right.
100% in line with the company values and the company
Right.
goals, which starts creating animosity. It starts creating tension. It just builds until it becomes conflict, right? And then it becomes very
Right.
difficult. But if I'm able to say, you know what, something that Bruce is doing isn't really online, it's not on point, it's not exactly what we want to be in the market, I'm going to have a conversation with Bruce and help Bruce be better.
And are you using humor within those conversations? Is there room for it?
I would say be really careful, right? Be really, really
Okay.
careful with humor there. But where I think we can use humor is in
Yeah.
building the relationship before the difficult conversation, right?
Yeah.
So if you and I can have fun and be transparent and like just really enjoy the work that we're doing together, then when
Yes.
it gets to having a difficult conversation, we can be
You're going to be
serious.
more open to it.
Absolutely. And that's
100%.
and that's where humor comes into the equation. Is humor helps prime the pump beforehand so that when you have to have the difficult conversation, you can be serious, but
Yeah.
know that I trust you, you trust me, we have each other's best interests at heart. And then we can get back
Right.
to our really great relationship again, right?
So it's coming from a good place. It's not coming from an authoritative, like,
Absolutely.
yeah. And I think humor, and I absolutely agree with that because so often I've said on this podcast that if we build up the relationships and use humor in the good times, we work
Hmm.
better in the hard times. And
Absolutely.
100%. Do you believe it plays a role in building strong relationships as a team? So you're talking one on one, but as a team, do you find that like it helps with collaboration and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, 100%. Humor helps us humanize each other, right? It allows
Yeah.
us to understand each other, to see each other more than just a job or a coworker. Humor
Right.
helps us see each other as people. And as soon as I see you as people, my empathy clicks in a lot faster, my compassion clicks in a lot faster, my desire to help you clicks in. We become better teammates, right? and
Yeah.
and we learn each other's strengths. so that I can help cover you, you can help cover me. Like it just makes us
I
better
love
people.
that. We learn each other's strengths instead of each other's weaknesses. That is
Absolutely.
so great. Just positive, like focusing on the positive and really building upon that. That's
Hmm.
amazing. I
Yeah.
love that. And you know
Yeah.
what? And it's so interesting because you know we that is such a saying. We focus on each other's weaknesses, but the fact that you said strength there, I was like, oh, okay, we're going there. I
Yeah.
really, really like that a lot. Have you encountered challenges or misinterpretations when you have used humor?
It's That's a really great question. I honestly can't think recently or even in the distant past where I've personally experienced misinterpretations.
Yeah.
But where I see misinterpretations happening frequently is with the email etiquette workshops and work that I do.
Ah, okay.
And what I recommend to people is never try to use humor in email, unless you really, really, really know the person that you're emailing with. Because
Oh,
email
okay.
humor in an email draws flat really fast. And often it goes even worse. It actually sounds condescending or
Right.
rude or abrupt.
That's interesting because I'm sort of like of the other belief where I'm like, if you want to bring humor without taking a risk or of a joke or anything, like how do you feel about like email signatures? Like my email signature, like a lot of times instead of thanks or whatever, I'll say highly caffeinated. Like just something silly like that off the cuff. Are you okay with that kind of thing?
I think it's great, and it's especially great for you, right? It's your brand,
Yeah.
right? It is who you are.
I mean, I also have autocorrect as my worst enema, so don't go for me.
Yeah. Well, I can't tell you how many times I've been autocorrected as Bruce Mayhem. So
Have you found, like, during your career, both as a speaker and as a coach and all that, when you're dealing with different cultures, how you're having to switch sort of your humor or how you're approaching it?
you certainly need to be careful, right? You really have to know, as you well know as a comedian, you have to know your audience, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And you have to really be aware of that level of trust that you each have for each other. And
Right.
once I know you, once you know me, then we can go in different places, and we can really, we have a lot more latitude in our relationship. Certainly when you're dealing with somebody new, and especially a culture that you're not completely familiar with, my recommendation to people is be a little bit on the conservative side,
Uh huh.
right? Get some
Yeah.
foundation under you, right? Build that level of trust and awareness with each other's intentions. And as soon as I
Hmm.
really understand your intention, then, now you can start expanding. You can be a little bit more relaxed. You can be a little bit more uh, fun,
Yourself.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree. And you know what? I do come across a lot of leaders who are dealing with, our company is in four different countries around globally. And then you're dealing with four different kinds of humor. And, you have to be so strategic. But it's also absolutely what you said, know your audience.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like that is such a big part of it.
Well, I think, if you're dealing with an audience that you're not really sure of, but you still want to have fun, right? Because
Hmm.
I in my world I try to have fun. I know I'm not funny, right? But I try to have fun. And I every once in a while there's a magic thing that happens and I'm actually funny. But for the most part, I try to live my world on fun. And that's really important for me, right? But I would say if you're dealing with a culture or people or a country that you're not familiar with, I think you can
Hmm.
still have fun, especially if you're bringing that fun back to yourself, right? So I'm I'm laughing at myself is safe versus
Yeah.
laughing at somebody else, which is it starts getting
Okay.
challenging.
I love what you're saying right now because I think it's so important because so often, I'll mention humor to people and they're like, I'm not good at telling jokes. And this is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you have to be good at I am talking about bring your fun to yourself. Bring your fun to work. Bring your that attitude, that energy to your team and
I
just
agree.
let it evolve from there. It doesn't
I
have to be a
agree.
forced, creepy dad joke or anything like that. It really, so I think you're right on like a perfect pitch for this because really so often trying to explain this where really we're just trying to take it from transactional to human,
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
right? And
Yeah.
bringing
Yeah.
that fun, knowing, there are lots of ways we don't need to tell a joke to say we have a sense of humor and we can have
Right.
fun together. And I
Right.
think what you said is just perfect.
Perfect.
Oh,
Great.
anyway.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, so
Great.
good. So
Yeah.
good. Hi, it's Kate. I can't believe you made it halfway through the show. Look, if you or anyone you know would like to be a guest on Humor in the C-Suite, I would love to have you. So email me, kate@katedavis.ca. How do you think a leader's authenticity and vulnerability through humor inspires the same in their team? Because I know your book that's coming out, The Path of an Inspired Leader, is about authenticity, courage, and impact.
Right.
So do you think humor has a place within that?
I totally do. I totally do. I think humor is a basic instinct for us, right? It is a
Mm,
natural thing that lives with, like, we don't have to teach people to laugh. Little babies laugh all by
yes.
themselves, right? So humor is so instinctive within us. And I think it just naturally draws people to each other. It's, uh, it's like what I said earlier. Be really careful, especially on new relationships, that you're never laughing at somebody, right? You're always bring the humor to yourself or a situation, but it can never ever feel like an attack on somebody or something like that.
Yes.
But but allow yourself to laugh, allow yourself to have fun, right? And it doesn't have to be silly games. I hate silly
Yeah.
games, right? But
Yeah.
but
I won't invite you for games night, I promise.
good, yeah.
Oh, now you're invited. I'm going to make you come play dumb. Do you feel like as you've gotten more mature in both in your career, and more comfortable with yourself, you're saying in your 20s you didn't feel like, you rest on the side of caution and everything.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
now you're coaching these people be their best selves. Are you bringing up advice? Like, do you find that leaders are hesitant when it comes to using humor within their leadership?
Yeah, I think they've probably been burned once or twice, and
Right.
they're really terrified, and it gets to the point like they probably tried to tell a joke and it landed really badly. So
Right.
now they're just pulling back. But I really think it really they really have to find I encourage people to find ways just to bring fun into the equation. And I know I might start sounding like a broken record about this, but I think
No.
it's one of those easy ways. Like there's an example that I give, and I give it in the book, and I give it also when I'm speaking. When I was at Scotiabank, and we were in the corporate marketing team, there was a little bit of tension at a team level between the corporate marketing team and the product development team, right? So it was like they wanted to do things, and we were like, no, this isn't the brand message that we're trying to give. And they're like, well, so there was always this tension that existed when I joined the department. And shortly after I joined the department, one of my teammates in the corporate marketing team started having what we called Grease Wednesdays, right? So
Oh,
we were trying to be healthy, right? But we were just getting tired of it. So we decided, on Wednesdays we would eat whatever we wanted, right? So you'd go off, get whatever you wanted, and the two of us, like, we'd go in our own different ways, but we'd come back to the office, and we went into a boardroom, and we'd eat our grease, right? Whether it was McDonald's or KFC
Yeah.
or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
And we had Grease Wednesdays. And within a couple weeks of us doing this, we started having other people sort of looking into the boardroom or the conference room that we were in, saying, "Hey, what are you guys doing in there?" Right? And
Yeah.
within about 2, maybe 3 months, we had to migrate to the large boardroom because
That's
everybody wanted to
great.
join us for Grease Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it was a time when, like, you were not allowed to bring a salad. That was the only
Uh,
rule, right?
Perfect.
Uh, and what it did was it brought people into the having lunch together, and we started doing just really relaxed, laughing at each other's grease and having fun together. And suddenly, across the team, like across the department, we started becoming better teammates, right? Everything started working
Oh,
so much better, right?
yeah.
So like there's ways where you don't have to fight it to get it.
Yes.
Sometimes you just need to let it in. Like find a way, whether it's Candy Tuesdays or Pizza
Yep.
Fridays, or like I think food is a great way to do all of this. Have potlucks where you're bringing each other's cultures in to the
Yes.
office,
Oh, I
right?
love that. That's a
And you
great idea.
and you're learning about each other's backgrounds and personalities and history. Like just find ways to.
To make that connection. That's such great advice. It really is. I'm going to bring in Grease Wednesdays. Although when you first
It's
said
a
it,
great
I'm
day.
like, are they connecting this? Like, go Grease Lightning. Anyway,
Yeah,
my mind
no,
did go to Grease. No, but I really do love that. And so often they're breaking bread together, as I like to put it, is a great
mm,
way to bond. It's a great way to
mm,
connect. And it doesn't have to be a pizza lunch,
no.
kind of thing.
It
So
can be
I
so
think
much more exciting than
that's
that.
and 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 just having that build your team when there was tension there, just this little gesture of, and having to move it. I love that story so much. Are there specific techniques or strategies that you would say you could interject humor like into a leadership approach when you're dealing with groups that you've known for that you've been working with?
I go back to my sacred rule is be authentic, right? And
Yeah.
and I don't like. I think as long as you're being authentic and transparent, you'll be great, right? So like
Yeah.
some people aren't built even to be like they're naturally reserved. Well, be that. Well, allow yourself to
Yes.
be that. And if anything, announce that, right? Let people know, hey, I really admire you because you can go out there on a limb and I can't, right? It's not who I am. And I think
Yeah.
putting a voice to it really helps connect people and humbleize people. But just don't be something you're not.
I love that. Put a voice to it. And you know what? Yes, absolutely. And I find like for me, like I'm really outgoing. I love bringing people together. I'll talk to anyone. But if I'm in a group where I'm a little intimidated or I feel like people, like I'll shut down. I'll become that sort of 13-year-old me, that's sort of insecure. The 11-year-old me was super goofy and amazing, but the 13-year-old me was like, oh no, everyone, is looking at my pimple. Anyway,
I think all of us had that 13-year-old thing. Yeah.
yeah, but I
Mm,
find she sort of creeps in sometimes if I'm intimidated. But knowing
sure.
yourself and knowing that that's a part of you, I think is okay too. But
Sure.
I love the fact if you are an introvert, it's okay to be that,
Hmm.
but you can still have fun. You don't
You
have to be
can.
funny, but you can have fun. And I think that's
Absolutely.
the most pressing thing.
Yeah. And if you're a leader and you're bringing people together, then bring in shish kebabs or something, or like do have something around the meeting where people can play games, right? Like you go to the dollar
Yeah.
store and go down the kids aisle, and there's so many fun little things that you can grab. lay them across the boardroom table and open up the meeting with all of those things on the table, that will immediately tell the whole audience that they can play a little bit, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be
And,
forced.
and when teams are playful, they're just more innovative. They
Yeah,
take more risks.
yeah.
They work better. They want to be there. All those great things that a great company makes. I know your book is coming out. What? You must be so. Can you tell us a bit about it? Do you mind? Or
Sure, sure. It's been a great project of mine. It's sort of been in the back of my head for the last 10 years or so about what I wanted to do with this book. And finally, near the end of 2024, I connected with the publisher and told them what my vision was, and they loved the idea. And
amazing.
last in 2025 was all about writing the book and having it edited and everything.
Writing's
So
lonely. I hate it. Ugh,
yeah, yeah.
it's the worst.
I've been like I've written a blog. I've been writing since aggressively writing since 2014, but mostly just for myself.
Wow.
But writing a
Yeah.
book is very different.
Yeah.
And
Right. Yeah.
so my writing the book was
Oh, there it is. What?
yeah, writing the
That's
book
so
happened for me between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. in the morning.
wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
I always find
I,
I'm most creative around like 7 a.m.,
okay. Yeah.
which is so weird for a comic because I'm up so late a lot of times. I'm like, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. And did you keep your sense of humor about it as you were finding it more or just a different sort of challenge?
Yeah, absolutely. Like it ended up being a game for me, right? Because
Oh, okay.
the first 2 months were completely terrible. Like honestly, the first 2 months of writing the book, I got like one chapter written. It was awful.
Yeah.
And then I realized that my voice came at me at 2 a.m. And
Wow.
that's when I started playing my games with myself about, how would I approach things and how I did things. And
Right.
then but it worked out beautifully because the book is designed as it's 20 chapters, and they're all different situations that a leader will find themselves in.
Oh, that's so great.
So
I
it's
love that.
so any reader only needs to read one chapter. Like if hiring
Right.
is your thing, like if you need to hire someone, then read chapter, I forget what chapter it is. I think it's chapter 18.
No worries.
Uh,
Yeah.
so whatever you need, like if you're having a difficult conversation, read chapter 12. If you're having to onboard someone, right. And so
Right.
it actually worked out really well because I was able to compartmentalize all of these chapters
Right.
at 2 a.m. in the morning. Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Well, I know who to drunk call now.
Yeah.
Um I'm like Bruce will be up.
Bruce will be up.
No. I love that. Okay. Are there any benefits you've personally experienced from incorporating humor into your leadership?
Personally, I would say it's my success. And I'm not wildly successful. Like I'm not Simon Sinek or anything,
Stop.
but I actually really love what I do when I do it, who I do it with. I love the people that are around me. um,
Yeah.
because I just feel like it's part of me now, right? And I, I took on a glass half full kind of mentality about 15, 20 years ago, and I just love that perspective, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so I just feel more comfortable in my skin because I get to laugh and play and joke and
Yeah.
tease and just be me.
Yeah. Amazing. I love this. I've loved our conversation. Okay, Bruce, we always like to end the episode with what is the funniest thing that's happened to you? Do you have a story you can share?
Sure. So there's two that come to mind, but
Okay.
one is professionally. So I was teaching a workshop, and so one of the things that I like to do, if there's time in the workshop, is to build scenarios that the participants can work through. And what I like to do with these scenarios is get the participants like a week or 2 weeks in advance to contribute. So one of the funniest things that ever happened to me was probably about 8 years ago. I was putting together these scenarios with the person that was hiring me. They reached out to the people that were going to be in the some of the people that were going to be in the workshop. And I worked really hard after receiving these scenarios to clean them up so that nobody would be burned for that scenario being them. Because it was like, how could we redo this situation?
Right.
And I worked really hard to, take the client out of it and to take the person out of it. So it was just left with the situation. And I'm in the middle of this workshop and I put up the first scenario and somebody in the audience goes, "Hey, that's mine. That was me." and and I
No.
was like, I was like dumbfounded. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And it became really funny, right? The whole
Yeah.
group just laughed and really participated. So I put up the second scenario. Same thing
Yeah.
happened. "Hey, that was
Oh my.
mine." And it, it
Wow.
it really taught me not to be surprised by an audience. Like you can never
Yeah.
really, but what a fun thing to happen, and
Yeah.
but completely surprising. It was just really, really
Wow.
funny.
And
Yeah.
someone to admit to, even.
Right. I would say, you're always going to be surprised and just be ready for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you want to tell your other story?
Sure. So it was probably when I was about 7, 8 years old. Like I was really
Yeah.
young.
Yeah.
And it was Christmas Eve, and we were at midnight mass, and I was with my cousin who was just like a couple months younger than I am, and we were like two peas in a pod. We were like, you never really wanted us to sit beside each other because it was going to go bad. And 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 it was so it was a massive church, and it was pin drop quiet, except
Yeah.
so they were singing "O Holy Night," and the choir was singing "O Holy Night," and somebody had a solo, and so there was one voice that you heard from the choir, and my cousin leaned over to me and said, "Who's singing?" And completely naive, I reached back over and I said, "The one dressed in red." They were all dressed in red. And it seems silly as an adult, but as kids in a completely quiet church, one suddenly we realized what I had just said, and the two of us were hysterical. It was
Yeah.
just it was
Yeah.
just one of those really awkward.
But you know what? That's the power of humor. Like, you're always going to remember that because you
I'll
laughed
always
together.
remember it.
And if you brought it up
Yeah,
with your cousin, you'd still laugh,
yeah,
and that is the power. It brings us right back to that moment.
yeah, yeah.
And that is the magic of humor. Bruce Mayhew, thank you so much for being a guest on Humor in the C Suite.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
I'm so excited for people to get your book. Where's the path of an inspired leader? Authenticity, courage, and impact. Where can people find it? Everywhere?
Uh,
Or?
online. So we're starting with it only online, and depending on how it goes, we'll maybe put it into a bookstore. Yeah,
I love that.
Indigo, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. So it
Perfect.
looks like as of the 16th of February, it will be everywhere. Yay!
Yay!
Yay! Very exciting.
You did it.
Very exciting.
Oh, so exciting. So grateful to have you as a guest. Thank you so
It's been
much.
my pleasure.
Thank you. All right.